2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the Brandon Gonez Show. It's your boy BG, and this week, as always, we have a lot to talk about, including why are we as Canadians still being charged for COVID tests? Is anybody else frustrated about that? Well, I am, so we'll get into it. Then we also have to discuss toxic masculinity and what that means and how might that apply to the one, the only Kanye West. Yes, we're going there. And we're also gonna go and talk about this great doing too much moment, or as Auntie Dev likes to say, maybe he wasn't doing enough this week. But before we dive in, we gotta do a few things, like subscribing to this channel, as we ask you to do every single week, tapping that notification bell, and make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Those details are in the description below. Okay, back to the thing that has me heated this week. Why are we still being charged for COVID tests? Is anybody else annoyed by this?
Yes, why are we paying for something that's necessary in some situations? Like, you're creating a divide between people who can and can't afford COVID tests.
You go to Costco, it's like $19.99. You go to Walmart, $16.99, but you can't book them because they're cheaper than Shoppers. Like, everything is a different price. There's no consistency. It's annoying.
And it's like adding all of these extra costs to doing simple things like being able to step out of the country. And yes, I understand this pandemic is still at play and you gotta be careful. But at the same time, people have to travel for certain reasons. And if you have to travel, you shouldn't have to worry about these extra costs. And if you're traveling with families, like this can literally double the price of a vacation or a trip. As of February 28th, just in case you didn't know, the testing requirements have changed, basically meaning that you don't need a PCR test anymore. Instead, if you're fully vaccinated, you can opt for a rapid test. But Kelly, to your point, it's the fact that these rapid tests like range anywhere between 17 to 40 bucks. That's my biggest pet peeve. There's no consistency with the pricing, but why is there even pricing? Like, there are certain places in the world, I look just to the States, there are certain states where you get your PCR test for free. You can get a rapid test for free. How do we not have the capability to do that? We pay so much in taxes for healthcare. This is clearly a need, and we still have to pay for all of this. On top of that, we talk to people on the streets and they're feeling the exact same frustration. Just take a listen. Like, do you think they should be free?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. If you can get a free test in the hospital, why couldn't you get a free test anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, they should be free. They should be accessible for everybody. It's safe, and it's from a public health perspective, it's important.
It's bull. I mean, if they're forcing us to take it, then it should be free, right? Kind of like things that are necessary, like tampons. They should be free.
There is something out there, don't get me wrong, like I'm in the medical field.
Yeah.
But it's become so political and so corrupt.
Yeah.
It's like, who to blame?
It feels like a money-making business. We keep hearing that.
Yeah.
I was gonna go to Vegas, and I saw the fee was about $300 some like that.
To get the test?
Yeah, and then what happens if you come back positive? So you pay $300 for the test, and not to mention there goes your whole goddamn trip.
Well, I have a family of 5, so you count that. I'm gonna spend an extra almost $1,000 on paying for PCR tests. And then if you have to stay there, you have to pay extra money to stay and rebook your flight, and it's a hassle.
I just worry about the budget-conscious traveler or the person who saved up tooth and nail to be able to go away, and they are hit with all of these extra costs. For rich people, it doesn't matter. But what about for the average person that, is just doing their best to get a little vacation? Just a little vacation. For their sanity. For their sanity. And now you have to worry about all these extra costs. So let's see who's to blame here. Because I like to point a finger. And there has to be a finger pointed. Dev, we reached out to the federal government.
Federal government said that they provided $3 billion to the provinces and territories to increase capacity to conduct PCR testing, perform contact tracing, and share public health data. This funding provided a foundation to help jurisdictions slow the spread of the virus.
So essentially they said, we provided money to the provinces to increase your capacity, but you can do whatever you want with that money.
Well, healthcare is a provincially funded thing, for better or
Good
for worse,
point.
whether you agree with it or not.
So then I guess, do we blame Doug for it?
He was real quick to jump on grocery stores for price gouging. Why isn't he getting on the pharmacies' backs and people who are giving out these tests?
But we should also add all this money that the federal government set aside for the provinces, the billions of dollars for COVID testing, they could have attached regulations in handing out that money to the province. They could have said, in order for you to accept this money, you have to regulate the price of COVID tests. So let me ask you guys right now, how do you feel about this? Are you upset that we still, as Canadians, have to pay for COVID tests? I want to know in the comment section. Y'all better sound off. All right, let's switch things up a little bit and talk about something that had us really divided in the newsroom. Toxic masculinity and Kanye West. Wow, don't those things go hand in hand?
They don't, actually.
Okay.
They definitely do.
They don't.
Coming in hot. Okay, so do we think Kanye West is a victim of toxic masculinity? If you haven't heard what he's been doing and what's been unraveling on social media, who wants to break it down real quick?
Kanye West is separating from his wife, Kim Kardashian.
Love you, Kim.
Kanye West is spreading all of their dirty laundry all over social media.
He's basically been calling everybody out.
Why not just talk to your baby mama? I'm just asking.
Sorry, Dev, you say he is a victim of
100%.
toxic. What do you mean by this?
So toxic masculinity, right? So where men are being put under the pressure of society, they have to be strong. They have to be dominant. They have to be tough. Putting all these labels and all these stressors on men, saying that you have to be this, is toxic masculinity because you're attaching these character traits to what it means to be a man. You're not a man if you cry. You're not a man if you express yourself. You're not a man if you talk about your feelings.
So you think all this pressure is what's leading to a bit of, I don't want to call it a breakdown, but
Well, why don't you want to call it a breakdown?
the entire world knows he deals with mental health issues.
But wouldn't that be a breakdown, like a mental break?
Is this a mental breakdown or is this a publicity stunt?
Okay, so I think you brought up some great points about what toxic masculinity is. You said crying, expressing feelings, having to be like sure about something even when you don't know. Kanye has literally done the opposite. Cried about his dad, cried about Kim, cried about everything online, and we've seen that on video. We have seen this guy also come to like social media about his daughter's TikTok because he genuinely doesn't know if he was overreacting. I think he came to social media and said,
north.
right? This is just a guy who is just too expressive, sharing business that probably shouldn't be shared on social media. And there's a lot of people who do this on social media too. Talk about their baby mama drama that are regular people, but because Kanye, like when he says something, that shakes the room. And
It doesn't just shake the room, it shakes the entire universe.
It shakes you. He was trending over the Super Bowl.
But I do want to highlight a point that you brought up that I do somewhat agree with, and that he's trying to write his own narrative here. He's been with the family that writes the narrative of everybody who gets washed up in the dishwasher and then released back out into the wild.
But my argument is do I think that he's a victim of toxic masculinity? Yes, I do. I think the majority of men, you are a victim of the fact that society expects you to be these things, in my opinion. I more so believe that the toxic masculinity comes in where people think this is funny. People think that the way he's acting is a joke. They find it entertaining.
Well, you want to hear the joke? We asked people on the streets, and a lot of them found it was funny. Hey, do you have any thoughts on Kanye West, by the way?
No comment.
No
there.
comment on there.
Oh, poor guy, man. I don't know. He's got a lot going on in his brain.
No, I just saw a meme that said, take us out the group chat, and I thought I agreed with that.
People were saying that, you know what? They're not taking his mental health seriously.
You know, we can all have perceptions of you know, whether he's doing okay or whether he's not. It's for them to figure out, and
Saying your nose ain't big like that. You don't care about it too much like that.
not too much. Just give me the songs. I want the songs.
I think he's pretty funny, a lot of it. Maybe he's gone a little crazy. I think he's doing what he thinks is best, so I'm not gonna hate on him.
You guys, by Pete Davidson, some comedian, ugly little mother. I'd be cheese too, man. At the end of the day, bro, Kanye's a G. He's a legend. He can lose his mind. He can be woke. He can Donald Trump all he wants. He loves to be like the topic of discussion. He'll have a haircut. He'll go to a Super Bowl just to see it through a couple holes. Imagine what it was like to watch that Super Bowl game. Did you even see the mask he was wearing? He's been up ever since he lost his mom's, bro. Now up anybody, you know?
I think it's important to remember that he was diagnosed with bipolar quite a few years ago, right? We're not psychologists, right? We're just talking about the situation. I want to make that clear. And we're not saying that the way he's acting is because of his diagnosis. What I'm saying is, if your brother or your friend or somebody you loved and cared about was diagnosed with this and they were acting this way, would you think it was funny?
I really appreciate what that woman in the streeter said. Like, put it in the music. It's getting too much now.
Take
like,
us
you know
out
what I
the
mean?
group
Like,
chat.
I'm nosy. You're nosy. You're nosy. We're all nosy. We're all a little bit nosy, but I ain't that nosy anymore. Like, I just feel like it's gotten too far. It feels toxic, and what's gonna happen next, we actually don't know. And I think that's actually the scary part. I think Kanye needs to be at Sunday service, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Anyways, let us know how you feel about this. Like, do you think Kanye is a victim of toxic masculinity, or Do you have your own opinion on this? Whatever it is, we want to know in the comment section right now. Speaking of faith, as we talked about earlier in the episode, the time you've been waiting for, doing too much. This week's doing too much moment goes out to a priest in Arizona who is in fact perhaps not doing enough.
Not another priest.
Father, if you want to call him that, Andre Arango, okay, has resigned from the St. Gregory Parish Church in Phoenix this month after leaders noticed that he had mistakenly used the term, "we baptize you," during baptisms instead of "I baptize you" for years. Small mistake, but you're probably wondering, why are we even talking about it? Well, Dev, tell them how big this one actually is.
His error is a pretty big one if you're a believer in the Catholic faith, if you follow the Catholic Church, because they're now saying that those baptisms aren't valid. And if you were baptized and it was said wrong, you're gonna have to get re-baptized. And some marriages reportedly also are no longer valid because of this mistake.
So on that note, who wants to do the honors to give this guy the stamp of doing too much?
Sir, you're doing too much, but I repeat, perhaps not enough. Not enough.
This is the same church who is also very meticulous about residential schools, right?
Ooh. And on that note, in the meantime, we want to thank you for watching this week's episode of the show. Before we let you go, a reminder, News You Can Use drops every Tuesday and Friday. They are oh so good, so you want to make sure you watch every single one of them. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel, tap that notification bell, and follow us on our social media. We'll see you next week. Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel. And listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.